welcome back again. I hope you had a relaxing break and could have a little bit of food also. We did in the meanwhile, as you can see on your right-hand side, a short survey on the Expo booth spotlights, who has already joined the Expo booth hotlines and who did not. So you can, whenever you want to, you can also vote. We can leave that on also, because you can only see the results if you say yes or no. In the morning, we already heard from Mr. Stefano Mata from the OECD that the SDGs can be a framework for cities and municipalities to recover from the COVID-19 crisis. In this context, it's a pleasure for me now, and I would very welcome and introduce to you Mr. Jurijs Grizāns from Riga. Hello. Nice to have you on board today. Mr. Grizāns, he did his PhD at the Riga Technical University in Economics and Management, and he's dealing with sustainability issues since 10 years. And at the moment, he's Senior Project Manager at the Strategic Management Board of the City Development Department from the Riga City Council in Latvia. He will present Riga's strategies and activities to implement the 17 Sustainable Development Goals on local level. Jurijs, the floor is yours. Please.
Okay, dear Alexandra, thank you very much for this warm welcome, and I will share my screen. And can you see my screen well?
Yes.
Okay, so I will start. Yeah. So greetings, dear participants of the conference. My name is Jurijs Grizāns, yes, and I work as Senior Project Manager in Riga City Council City Development Department, and it's my pleasure to be here today. Dear Alexandra, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference and also for giving the opportunity to present Riga City experience in localizing and measuring the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and also for the opportunity to get an inspiration from other cities and regions. And within my presentation, I would like to focus attention to the main Riga for localization and implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, and also on the measured steps taken by the City of Riga for monitoring and reporting the progress of Riga towards the Sustainable Development Goals. And so let's start with the first one, localization of the Sustainable Development Goals in Riga. Here in Riga, we believe that working with the Sustainable Development Goals means working with such sustainability treasures as quality education, social well-being, good health, natural ecosystem, inclusive communities, etc. And of course, these treasures are the start point for the localization of the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, nowadays, every human settlement wants to keep and to protect these treasures, and of course, to increase their social, economic, and also ecological value. And same also as other human settlements, also City of Riga has its own sustainability treasures, and I would like to present some of them. The first one is the quality of life. So Riga is the capital city of the Republic of Latvia and the main industrial, business, and financial center in the Baltics. Over 625,000 people live within the city boundaries, and every day Riga City provides educational, working, healthcare, and other services, not only for the city inhabitants, but also for the all Riga agglomeration residents. And therefore, residents' well-being and the high quality of life is one of the main priorities of the local municipality. The next one, Riga is a green city. The inhabited territory of Riga is 30%, almost equally as a green area, parks, gardens, and forest. There are 3 Natura 2000 protected areas located in Riga. And of course, systematically, municipality implements management, renewal, and upgrading work in Riga's park, public square, and other green areas. For example, each year, around 350 hectares of a new forest are planted, and that comprise 850 football fields. And the last but not the least, Cultural and historical heritage is a unique sustainability treasure of the city of Riga. The historic center of Riga has been included in the UNESCO World List Heritage, and it is remarkable with its more than 800 Art Nouveau buildings. Riga is a regional cultural center, not only on the national level, but also among the Baltic countries. And for example, in 2014, Riga was the European Capital of Culture and has successfully implemented around 200 cultural projects and events. And of course, to keep and to protect its existing sustainability treasures and to create and to develop a new one, City of Riga has a long history of working on sustainability issues. Let me present some examples. For example, in 2004, the City of Riga has signed the Charter of European Sustainable Cities and Towns towards sustainability and committed to enter local Agenda 21 processes and develop a long-term action plan towards sustainability. In 2008, to support implementation of the European Union 40% greenhouse gas reduction target by 2030 and the adoption of a joint approach to taking mitigation and adaptation to climate change, Riga committed to the Covenant of the Mayors for Climate and Energy. In 2019, the City of Riga joined 210 European cities' call for a more sustainable and equitable European future. Last year, in October, the City of Riga has joined 58 cities across Europe to call the Council of the European Union for a revision of the European Union 2030 energy and climate targets. And this month, in January, to ensure a transition to clean technologies by 2030, as well as establish an investment program for carbon-free projects in various sectors, Riga City Council has joined the European Clean Hydrogen Alliance. For the better understanding how to adapt sustainable development goals and also how to link the Agenda 2030 at the international level and the local level, the City of Riga used Sustainable Development Strategic Planning Document Framework, and we call it GNL, from global to the national and from the national to the local. And the level 1 of this SDGs localization framework is the level of the Agenda 2030, with its 17 Sustainable Development Goals, 169 targets, and 232 indicators defined by the United Nations. Level 2 of the SDGs localization framework is the national level. And at this level, we have the Sustainable Development Strategy of Latvia until 2030. And it includes 7 long-term development priorities, 11 development directions, 42 action directions, 11 objectives, and 55 development indicators. It's necessary to mention that in 2018, the Republic of Latvia celebrated its 100 years anniversary and presented Latvia's voluntary national review, implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. And this report presents the results of the linking the national development planning with the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the gap analysis towards the all 17 Sustainable Development Goals, describing each SDG place in the national planning system of the Republic of Latvia, and highlighting trends towards achieving results and also presenting indicators. If we go to the next level, level number 3, so this is the level of the 3 of the SDG localization framework used by the City of Riga. And it's necessary to mention that this is the main level where local municipality operates to localize the sustainable development goals. In its work, municipality based on planning documents, of course mentioned above, but also the main tools for localizing of sustainable development goals in the City of Riga at the local level are the following local spatial development planning documents. And the first one is Sustainable Development Strategy of Riga until 2030. It's a long-term spatial development planning document for Riga City, which includes 4 long-term development objectives, strategic goals, spatial development perspectives, and also development priorities. And the second document is Development Program of Riga for 2014-2020. And this is a document reflecting the actions of the municipality for a period of 7 years. And the program is developed as a set of 19 action directions, 187 indicators, and 112 tasks. And of course, it's necessary to mention that right now we elaborate a new development program of Riga for the period 2021 and 2027. Come to the second section of my presentation, and if we start to talk more about implementation, of course it's necessary to mention that the city of Riga is actively working towards sustainable development goals, not only at the international level, but also focus a great attention to the contribution to the implementation of the sustainable development goals at the local level. And of course, this is action based on day-to-day activities and day-to-day implemented projects. And I would like just to present some examples from the recent past. For example, to promote environmentally sound waste management and to contribute to the SDG 12, municipality has developed and presented in this month, January 15, a digital map with 111 waste recycling points. 104 points are marked with green colors, so these are containers for glass and light packaging, and 7 points are marked with red colors. These are containers for the hazardous waste. The next one, example, to ensure the sustainable use of the natural resources and to contribute to the SDG 15, every year in January, and of course also this January as well, municipality collects Christmas trees from residents and gives them a new life in Riga Zoo. The stumps of fir trees are used by animals, for example, for climbing or playing with them. Smaller branches are split and used for substrate, both for maintaining zooplants and also for relying individual residences of animals. The next example, to contribute to the good health of the residents, we are talking about SDG 3, especially now at the COVID context. Municipality provides plenty of opportunities for local residents to do outdoor activities and to enjoy winter time. 4 sky trails, 50 Nordic walking tracks, forest walking trails help citizens to stay active in winter. And the last but not the least example, to ensure equal access to the primary and secondary education and thus to contribute to the SDG 4, since 20th of January this year, municipality started to provide an opportunity to the parents to submit online first grade students registration form for all 109 municipal schools. On the one hand, it helps parents more easily to register their children for school, while on the other hand, it also helps educational institutions to make more efficient use of resources to ensure their functions. And those, of course, it's just 4 examples, but what I would like to mention is that to link activities on the international level and at the local level, and to promote integration of the sustainable development goals into day-to-day activities and projects implemented by the municipality, we use 4 basic steps, and let me to present them. So the step number 1, we call it raising awareness for the sustainable development goals. To promote stakeholders' understanding of the sustainable development goals, since 2018, when Riga started to design a new development program for a new period, the following stakeholder engagement activities have been implemented. The first one is public sector and non-governmental organization workshop on the way to the joint. And the main aim of this workshop was to look for ways how to come together and how to work and to match and to balance different wants and needs for the development of the city jointly to form Riga in 2027, in which everyone would like to live, to work and to rest. The second example is Riga City Residents Online and Offline Survey. It was available for completion both physically at 5 locations of Riga City Council Visitor Recruitment Center and also electronically online. And totally it was 2,294 respondents helped to identify key development priorities to be addressed in the next planning period for the city of Riga. The third example, we focus more attention to the young people. So it was involvement. So it was Riga Youth Urban Planning Forum Runāt Riga to speak in Riga. The forum provided an opportunity for more than 70 young people to participate in the planning process of the future city, to share their opinion, and of course to present their solution for Riga city urban development in the near future. And the last example, it was thematic working groups to compile and systemize all data, opinion, and solutions collected so far. 9 thematic working groups were set up. And representatives from Riga City Council, from state institutions, from non-governmental organizations participate in this working group, and each thematic group is responsible for the design of the one of 9 priorities of the future development program of the city for the period 2021-2027. And the main tasks of the working groups are the following: to specify the priority and define the task, and to define actions, projects, and responsibilities between Riga City Council institutions. If we go to the next, it's step number 2, establishing a local sustainable development goals agenda. To highlight the link between sustainable development goals and Riga City local development planning activities, and to promote stakeholder understanding of Riga City contribution to the implementation of the Agenda 2030, an integrated 6 levels development planning system has been designed, and as you can see on the left side of the slide, was designed and included in the draft of the development program of Riga for 2021-2027. This approach helped us to adjust sustainable development goals to the local context of the city first, and together with the stakeholders during stakeholder engagement activities, we have prioritized 16 of 17 sustainable development goals. The new development program of Riga will focus. The next one, it's step number 3, planning the implementation of the SDGs. Planning the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, we realize that, of course, as other cities, also city of Riga face new challenges. And for example, it's a COVID-19, it's climate change, it's digitalization, it's circular economy, etc. At the same time, Riga City focus on the European Green Deal Sustainable Development Strategy of Latvia until 2030. Also, right now, Riga City is actively implementing preparation work for the new 2021-2027 European planning period. Therefore, we link together 9 priorities of the development program for 2021-2027, 4 long-term development objectives of the city of Riga defined in the Sustainable Development Strategy of the city, 16 prioritized sustainable development goals, and the main results of the linking we have organized in a form of goal-based planning set. All information is organized in 4 columns, as you can see also on the slide. So the first column from the left presents Riga City development priorities 2021-2027. The second column shows the contribution of the Riga City development priorities in the implementation of 4 long-term development objectives defined in the Sustainable Development Strategy of the city until 2030. The third column indicates the contribution of the development priorities in the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals defined by the United Nations, and the fourth column summarizes other thematically linked, related European Union, national, regional, and local development planning documents. So we have organized a set of mapping results. So if we go to the next step, step number 4, and it will be the third part of my presentation. So this is step number 4, monitoring and evaluation. Riga City Council monitoring and evaluation it's necessary to mention that it's a city-level multi-stakeholder process, and totally 29 structural units and institutions of the city of Riga are involved in this process. Every year, we start to collect an information, and exactly Riga City Council City Development Department is responsible for the overall management of the monitoring process. And every year this process consists of 3 basic steps. So step number 1, we call it data collection and internal assessment by internal expert. Step number 2 is data external assessment. Every year we involve 5 experts from economic sector, from social sector, from urban planning sector, from non-governmental organization, institution, and also from the government institution as well. And the step number 3, it's reporting. All data collected within the monitoring and evaluation process is summarized in the form of the report. And its implementation progress report of the Sustainable Development Strategy of Riga until 2030 and Development Program of Riga for 2014-2020. This year, when we have completed this report, basically last year, 2020, we have included in this progress report a new section, and we call it Evaluation of the Implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in the city of Riga. And we bring to this section 2 main functions. So the function number 1, first of all, to raise the awareness of the users and readers of this report about sustainable development goals. And here we are talking about that usually these users of the report are internal, city councillors, staff of Riga City Council, structural units and institutions, and also external stakeholders use this report quite often. We are talking about residents, researchers, students, non-governmental organizations, mass media. So therefore, we included in this report a brief introduction to the Sustainable Development Goals. What are Sustainable Development Goals? We try to describe why do we need Sustainable Development Goals? What are the main links between international level and between the level of local municipality and residents' everyday life and activities? And what we have presented also in this chapter, what are the Sustainable Development Goals logo, and what also we have included some basic description of each of the goal. It's the first function. And the second function, with this chapter, we try to help users and readers of the report to understand better the link between Sustainable Development Goals and Riga City Spatial Development Planning documents. So for long-term development objectives of the city of Riga, and also to promote stakeholders' understanding of Riga City contribution through this 19 action direction to the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. So also, as I have mentioned, within the process of development of new development program, we have implemented mapping. Also within the process of evaluation of the existing development program, we have implemented mapping between international, national, and local level. And so at the end of my presentation, I would like to mention that yes, sure, there are quite many useful tips for the localization and implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. At this moment, I would like just to highlight one of them. And in our opinion, it's quite important. It's networking and learning from each other. And I would like to give some examples, again, from our experience. How do we learn about localization of the SDGs? So in the first example, in April 2019, we have participated at the Baltic 2030 Capacity Building Program, Localizing SDGs, initiated by the Council of the Baltic Sea States. And participation in this program gave us an opportunity to meet more than 60 local, regional, and also national experts of strategic planning and sustainable development, and to inspire from other regions and cities, and to hear and to get more know about other cities' examples, what they are doing already with localization and implementation. And last year, as a result of these activities, last year in the December, based on the outcomes of this program, a handbook, Localizing Sustainable Development Goals in the Baltic Sea region, was published. The next example, I would like to mention that since last year, March, we have started to use an opportunity provided by the Union of the Baltic Cities, and we call it UBC Talks. Basically, UBC Talks is a series of webinars launched by the United Baltic Cities, Union of the Baltic Cities, Sustainable Cities Commission, to discuss various topics of the sustainable development in the Baltic Sea region. And within these webinars, we have participated both as speakers, we have presented our experience and our, for example, projects. And also we have participated as listeners about existing solutions and best practices for the local work on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And what is quite good, in my opinion, that all webinars materials, recording and also participant presentations are available on the internet, and it's possible to use them. And the last example that I would like to mention, since November 2020, we have started to work at the Union of the Baltic Cities Sustainable Cities Commission thematic working group with the name Sustainable Development Goals. Together with 7 other groups, this group is working on the definition of the main goal and signal for the upcoming UBC Sustainability 2030 Action Program. And also participation in this group provided us an opportunity, together with experts from other cities, from other countries, to discuss and to formulate concrete goals and ambitions to be accomplished in the Baltic Sea region on Union of the Baltic Cities city level in the near future. And on the last slide of my presentation, I have summarized references, links to the information mentioned above in my presentation. And I hope that these sources of information will be useful for you. And so I would like to thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very, very much, Jurijs. Riga could definitely work as a role model for other cities. As it is not foreseen that we ask questions following the agenda, Jurijs offered me that you, of course, can directly contact him if you have questions on his presentation, if you have questions on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in Riga. So I would recommend that you then directly go into contact with Jurijs.
Yeah.
What I learned so far is, and what I would like to give to the audience is, I mean, I saw that digitalization plays a very important role in Riga for localizing the SDGs. Yeah. This is really important, and it's also connected with the morning session on the importance of digitalization. And the second thing I liked very, very much was your advice to network and to learn from each other. I think this is really a good advice. Because of course you never can transfer everything from one city to the other, but you can at least get impulses and ask other colleagues what have been the challenges, what are the potentials. And last but not least, I noted that that there is a handbook of the Baltic region on localizing SDGs in the Danube region. I think this would also be a good idea for the Danube region to do so. So maybe you can also send us the link of this handbook. For sure, it's also online available. That would be great, so that we could get a look in. I have one comment from our colleague Alexander Heichinger. He said it was very impressive and comprehensive mapping and monitoring work in Riga. And there's one question: did you try, or do you plan to link your use financial budgetary elements in this exercise too? Maybe you can shortly answer this question.
Yes, thank you very much here for this question. Yes, as I have mentioned here, that right now we work more with this awareness development, but of course we realize that, for example, the next step, the next task, yes, to use the SDG as a tool for policy making, and also for the financial policy making as well. Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, then another very big thank you to you, Jurijs, that you was on board of this conference, that you joined and shared your expertise. I am sure that there will be a lot of questions via email reaching you then afterwards. If you are now more interested in localizing SDGs, I could also recommend then the afternoon session on climate change adaptation and smart cities, because also Vienna connected the SDGs with their smart city strategy. We have now another I would say 25 minutes break. It's now 1:35, and we would somehow stick to our time schedule. So 25 minutes break before joining the first session part on governance and democracy and on climate adaptation and smart city. Again, use this time to also look into our expo. We have again some special expo booth spotlights planned. 2 of our exhibitors will be live in their booth to present their excellent work. So feel free to join. I just check the survey. At least we've got 23 votes and the majority already joined the expo spotlights. Great. Okay, so after the break, I kindly ask you to directly go into the session. Yeah, and either Mr. Vedran Dihic from the Austrian Institute for International Affairs or Ms. Ina Hohmeier from the city of Vienna, she's their smart city expert, will welcome you there directly. Thank you very much and enjoy the break. Thank you.